Hello everybody. Today Madeleine McCann would have been or is 20, and the fact that we don't know which tense to use is part of the tragedy of this horrific situation where Kate and Jerry McCann did what many parents do, which is to leave their children asleep in an apartment which they could see from the restaurant that they were dining at. They popped back every so often to check they're okay. They chose not to have a babysitter because they thought it was safer just to keep an eye on them themselves because they were very close, rather than have a stranger come and babysit. And they lost their child in that context. Terrible thing for a parent to lose a child at any stage of life, but particularly a child who's only just coming up to 4, because it was just 16 years ago last week that Madeleine disappeared. Among all the feelings that they must be going through still, guilt must be quite high up on the list. When we feel guilty, we need to make our own judgments as to whether we really are to blame or not. Other people will have their view too, but we in the end need to decide, am I responsible for what happened? In which case I need to learn to live with that responsibility, not to shy away from it, but on the other hand not to let it burden me and weigh me down, because it's only one part of my life. And we all make mistakes, and although some of them can be very serious, we all have to carry failure with us. We need to do so with courage, with determination, and not let it eat into our self-confidence. Sometimes when we review what's happened, though we feel guilty, we come up with the conclusion that rationally we're not at fault. And in that case, of course, we need to put the guilt on one side and quite deliberately reject it, so that we're not beating ourselves up about something that really was not our fault. But guilt needs to be lived with if it's something that we do feel we justifiably carry with us. And I think we think today of Kate and Jerry McCann carrying that burden, whether or not they felt that at the end of the day what they did was justified or not. They will still feel terrible, I'm sure, about it, and have got to learn to live with that, as we have to learn to live with those things that we've done. But today I think primarily I want us to think about parents who've lost children. It is a terrible thing at any age for a parent to lose their offspring, whether by death, maybe an accident, maybe natural causes, maybe too though because the child has decided they no longer want to maintain that relationship, and that can happen at all sorts of ages of life. And to carry with us the sadness and grief of having lost a child, especially if that child still lives, and we can perhaps feel some responsibility for the breakup or for the loss. It is a very, very painful thing to bear, but it needs to be borne, and it needs to be borne with courage. And today we remember all those who are having to go through that experience.